what should we do when problems are beyond our control? Let us begin this topic. Om Shanti, my name is Garret. Before I start the topic off, please make sure you guys remember to hit like and subscribe. Comment your learnings in the comment section below. I'm dedicated to 4 videos a week to spread more light and positivity out there to the world. It's also nice to know where you guys are tuning in from so we could actually connect within this space, okay? So, without further ado, let's head into the topic, okay? So, we tend to actually tie our happiness with external circumstances. And we need them to change so that we will be happy. Okay, we don't realize that happiness is always a choice that we make irrespective of the circumstances. Okay, one husband and wife, right, they went back home to Canada, okay, for a vacation. And as usual, right, there will always be like heaps and heaps of relatives that will gather because these people have migrated to a different country, right? So they were meeting and they were partying a lot and they were going to different homes, okay, for visiting. So now the wife, right, was getting tormented by her sister-in-law, okay? The husband had 4 sisters and one of them had an obnoxious nature. She would keep saying, complaining to her husband, "Look, your sister said this to me, okay? Can you believe she behaved with me in this kind of manner?" So finally the wife's husband said this to the wife, "Look, my dear, I agree she's got a terrible attitude, okay? I admit she's not behaving well with you. However, her behavior is not in my control. What is in your control is your response to it, okay? You have the choice to ask, will I tolerate? Will I become agitated? Will I accept this behavior with understanding and wisdom?" Okay? So there is these external circumstances out there and this internal response within here we have in us, okay? And this internal response, right, is this big cause to our actual problems, okay? We respond wrongly because we don't know how to manage our mind and its attitudes. And then we become miserable. We blame people and its circumstances, okay? So to understand, right, what is the feature of this external world? This provides us with the facility and the faculty for this mind management, okay? We shall discuss a little bit about this external world. Some people, right, say that this world is mithya, okay? Sanskrit term for non-existent. The Veda states that the world is non-existent. It's non-existent, sorry, okay? So the Veda states that the world is non-existent. So what does mithya means? It is the creation of our mind. This concept of the world, right, being a mental construct is in Western philosophy as well. Subjective idealism and objective idealism, okay? Two kinds of philosophies, right, have been propagated, and then there was Berkeley, the father of idealism, who said this statement: "There is no objective reality. The whole world is existing in our minds." So others, right, questioned this viewpoint and said, if the world is a mental construct, then how come everybody has created the same kind of world, right? For example, if there is a flower here, somebody should have created a handkerchief instead. but somebody else a flower. Okay, why is everybody creating a flower here? You see, and if this world is created by our mind, we should be able to destroy it with the mind as well, right? However, no matter how much you try, this world will not be destroyed. So they say the world does exist. It may be temporary, but it is not mithya. Okay? Now, the truth is that both these philosophical viewpoints are correct. The world is mithya and it is also satya, which is existent or the truth. Okay? How come both are actually correct? You may be thinking. Because there is not one world, but there are two worlds. Okay? What do you mean by two worlds? You may be thinking. There is an external world on the outside, and that is actually made from earth, water, fire, air, and the sky or the space element. Okay? And there is an inner world within us. Our thoughts, our values, our beliefs, our ideas, as well as our attitudes. Okay? The one we see when our eyes are closed, obviously we don't see the external world, right? That is the world within us. The external world is one. It's the same for everyone out there. The sun, the moon, and the stars are all the same for everyone. Okay? The internal world, however, is different for us, all of us. Okay? The external world is created by God. Okay? The Taittiriya Upanishad says this: He who has manifested this world, within whom this world is situated, and into whom the world will merge into one day. That supreme creator is God. Okay? He is the creator and the inner world that is created by us, our desires, cravings, and hankerings. The external world is not mithya because God is satya, which is the truth. How can he create something that is mithya, which is a reality, you know? Mithya is actually a false mirage, okay? However, God creates only the truth. The inner world, right, is a mental construct because the mind cannot create gross objects, right? Just by thinking, I can't create this. It has to manifest somewhere, right? So now we understand this distinction, right? There is the outer world and there is this inner world within us. We then realize this difference. The outer world is actually not bad, okay? Why? Because it is created by God. Since he is perfect, the world he has created is also perfect. The statement from the Upanishad states, right, that everywhere is God, okay? And yet, living in this world, we experience misery, anxiety, tensions. Why? Right? Because our inner world is defective as yet. Okay, so the spiritual journey, right, is of one that is actually practicing how to purify our inside. There are things about the outside world that you can change, and there are things that you cannot change, as was discovered by the neophyte yogi. Okay, one practitioner of the yogic sciences went so deep in his experience, right, that the world practically fall away from him. He renounced his family, his home, his career, and went to live in the Himalayas. Okay, there he got a perfect hermitage, and there he was given this ashram. The head of the ashram, right, he was given a nice cottage. He gave him a nice cottage, right, and a hut for himself. Okay, so what happened was, right, he would sit down and actually engage in his own meditation. Okay, the seasons actually started rolling by, and then the monsoon came. Okay, and along with this monsoon, right, the first shower fell, brought the celebration of the frogs along and the other creatures as well. Okay, that night, right, when this yogi was sitting in meditation, he was hearing the sounds of the croaking frogs all around, making merry, and he became extremely upset and annoyed. Okay, he said, don't they realize that a yogi is meditating and they need to be quiet? So finally he vented his frustration. He opened the window and he put his head out of the cottage and he screamed, "Stop!" Okay, his stop was so loud that his sadhana, together with his voice, has reached such a level of proficiency, right, that all of these creatures out there went into silence because they listened to his instruction. Okay, all of a sudden there was a complete hush. The frogs had stopped croaking. Okay, he went back to his meditation, very happy that there was no disturbance from the outside. But alas, he discovered a new voice that came in, and this time it was coming from within himself. The voice was saying, "Did you do right by silencing all these frogs? After all, God is the one who has bestowed that huge larynx and pharynx to them, all these frogs. Maybe God is as pleased by their croaking as he is with your meditation." Or this voice started to speak to him. This sound became louder and louder, preventing him from meditation, while finally he decided that he can't come to peace with it. He went back out again, protruded his head out of the window and said, "Begin!" Okay, this time round, the frogs were waiting for that signal. Again, that croaking, the joyous sounds of nature began their orchestra. So, he went back to his meditation, but this time he was completely blissful. Nothing on the external was disturbing him. He had found a peace that could not be snatched away by the externals. And that peace had come by acceptance of certain features of the world that were beyond his control. So we often find that the peace of our mind with external situations, right? So we often tie the peace of our mind with external situations. If so, right? If so and so behaves like this, if so and so behaves like that, I will be happy. Okay? But these externals are not in our control. This is why the most beautiful and practical prayer for our life is, "Oh Lord, give me the ability to change the things that I can, the forbearance to tolerate what I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference." So the external world is actually not bad. It is perfectly designed, not for our comfort, but for our spiritual growth. It is sometimes the university of hard knocks that will serve us with lemons. But what we do with them, whether we make them into lemonades or become sour ourselves, is always our own choice. Mind management is all about controlling the internals, learning to make the best response to any situation on the outside. Okay? This gap between the external world and our inner world provides us with the opportunities to manage our minds. Okay, so I hope you learned something from this video, and if you do, please make sure to comment your learnings in the comment section and remember to hit like and subscribe. I'm ending this video off. Om Shanti.